Hi everybody, Andrew Cuneo here. This is the Grixis Vampires list that I played at the most recent set championship. Mike Siggers played a very similar deck into a top 4 finish. There was a handful of card differences. I think he has a Soran where I had an Anje, and he probably had a few different sideboard cards, maybe a slightly different mana base. I was pretty happy with this build of this deck for the set championship, but since the set championship has come and gone, I think that Esper and Runes have really fallen off a fair bit, and blue-red Goldspan Dragon decks, I think, are now a much more important matchup to be good in. So I'm going to modify this deck to make it better against the Goldspan Dragon decks, and then run it through a standard metagame challenge to see how it does. So the first thing I want to do is, I think I'm going to swap a Ray of Enfeeblement in the sideboard for a Disdainful Stroke. I'd like to have 2 Disdainful Strokes in my main deck. I think that I'm going to give up on the main deck Duress. And we'll be adding another main deck Disdainful Stroke. And honestly, I'd like to be able to potentially go up to 4 in the sideboard. And I think I might want to have access to negate. So let's see how I can fit all of this stuff. One card that can go is the 4th Annul. I think the 2nd Make Disappear. There's a lot of overlap there. Sadly, we can no longer see the bottom of the sideboard. Do I really need 3 Ray of Enfeeblements? It's pretty important against Esper. Maybe I don't need this last Meathook Massacre. Alright, one more cut. I don't think it should be the Evelyn, the Go Blanks, or the Duresses, or the Ray, or Negate or Make Disappear, or Abrade. So I guess it's just going to be an Annul. The only matchup where I really wanted a ton of Annuls was against Runes. And I think in that matchup I'll be okay playing Negate over Annul. It's not as good for sure, but I wanted to switch an Annul into a Negate so that I would feel more comfortable boarding in the card against a blue-red deck that has Fable of the Mirror Breaker as the only target for Annul, but probably has Expressive Iteration, or I mean, certainly Negate against a blue-red deck, you're going to have targets. Alright, so I think this is how I'm going to change the deck, and let's hop into a metagame challenge. Hopefully my opponent plays a creature on their 2nd turn so I can go Infernal Grasp, Corpse Appraiser. That would be ideal. Stormcarved Coast makes it seem like that's not very likely to happen. Yeah, actually. Alright, so we're probably playing the Grixis Vampires Mire. Come on, let's find Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I need to convert some of these lands into other things. Well, that's not fair. Disdainful Stroke is not at its best here, but it does have some targets. Very jealous of my opponent getting to loot away 2 lands. They could have a Corpse Appraiser here, which would be annoying. That's not a Corpse Appraiser. Still going to be kind of problematic. So I'm going to play the Bloodtithe Harvester this turn rather than blitz this. It allows me to keep Disdainful Stroke up, and it lets me get this Bloodtithe Harvester in play so I can have an answer to the Reflection of Kiki Jiki, which I certainly want to kill before they get to activate it. Also, I'm going to get a blood token, so I'll be able to use that to loot away a land. Probably not at the end of their turn if the Bloodtithe Harvester isn't going to die. Seems like the opponent was also kind of flooded this game. This is what happens with this deck, though. There's so many lands in the deck, you are going to get flooded some of the time, but you have so many ways to loot them away that it's really not that big of a deal. Can I do anything about that? I guess I could find Spell Pierce, which still wouldn't do anything about that. Yeah, I'm not going to use my Spell Pierce just to get rid of their treasure and make them waste 2 mana. I was hoping that they were going to play a second Fable of the Mirror Breaker that turn, maybe. So this is looking kind of grim. Can't really even play this Bloodtithe Harvester on this board because they'll just copy their Bloodtithe Harvester and kill it right away. I need to find maybe Meathook Massacre, Voltage Surge, a card like that, before I can really start developing my board again. Alright, there's the Voltage Surge. So this game is not completely lost. I would say it's not in great shape. Should I just kill? I'm just going to kill this thing. They had a Pierce. Yuck. Should I leave my Disdainful Stroke up and take 3 damage? I think so. I'm also leaving up my Spell Pierce, which would be nice to get some value out of. Wow, they're looting away a Voltage Surge. Their hand must be really good. I'm very worried that they're going to cast Evelyn. That's why I want to leave up Disdainful Stroke. A blitzed Underdog. That is not good for my life total. Nor is this Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Cards that are good in the mirror. Certainly Evelyn is good in the mirror. I think Go Blank is very good in the mirror. Don't want Disdainful Stroke. Even Spell Pierce is kind of weak. Probably just play it like that. I think if I get to game 3 and I'm going to be on the draw, I'll cut a Kaito for a Make Disappear. Alright, so this is a game where I'm going to have access to Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Hopefully there's no Spell Pierce in my future. Or Negate. Duress would be fine. That is fine as well. Hand's pretty strong. I don't have a lot of cards I'm really feeling like I want to loot away that badly. I think I'm going to loot away this Bloodtithe Harvester. Alright. Meathook Massacre. Not bad. Should I play around Spell Pierce? I don't think so. By blocking there, I make it so that if they have a Corpse Appraiser, they can't shut off my Corpse Appraiser. Don't think I want the Meathook Massacre. I guess I'm getting rid of an Evelyn too. Because I really want to continue to make land drops pretty badly. They've gone into full control mode. It's not clear why. The scariest card for them to have right now is Evelyn. I do have the Soul Transfer, but if they go end of turn Evelyn and, you know, get to play some stuff off of it, it would be pretty bad for me. I'm going to set up to try to do the same thing, though. Bloodtithe Harvesters all around. They got Voltage Surges, too. That's annoying, because now they're going to be able to Voltage Surge the Reflection of Kiki Jiki. I think that is not a very good use of a card. I'm going to take 2 rather than expose my Evelyn to them having a Voltage Surge in hand. Takenuma and a Grasp. Let's see what I draw for my turn, but my inclination is to just grasp the Evelyn and play Anje. This way I'm keeping Soul Transfer in my hand to potentially get Evelyn back. We'll find out what cards Evelyn hit. 2 Corpse Appraisers. So far this game, Evelyn has hit duplicates 3 times. Between my opponent and myself. Alright, let's cut a Kaito for a Make Disappear. This is certainly not the strongest hand in the world. It just got a whole lot better. It's important that I played the Stormcarved Coast there just in case I top deck my one of Make Disappear. I did not. Spoiler. I'm going to let this hit me and see if they play Fable of the Mirror Breaker. If they play Fable of the Mirror Breaker, I prefer to Voltage Surge the Goblin. Also, by waiting till the end step, it means they can't go land Corpse Appraiser. Hope they don't have Spell Pierce. I have a Corpse Appraiser. It's generally better to just start with the Fable, though. Only reason not to do this would be Spell Pierce. I guess the other reason not to do it is if they have a Corpse Appraiser. Yeah. Let's go for the higher upside play. And get punished. I'm just going to kill both of these. My life total is starting to get a little bit low. Alright. Pretty strong. But they didn't have anything to do. They both didn't have anything to do, and they didn't use any blood tokens. That's surprising. Negate. Negate was their worst card. There's a counter for Evelyn. Or an Infernal Grasp. Although if they have an Infernal Grasp, it's less likely they're going to be able to kill this Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Wow, I don't know what was in their hand that it was so bad that they would give up there. I'll take it. I could just play this guy as a 2-2 beatdown, but I think against Jetmare Garden, they're probably going to flood the board with a lot of creatures. Oh, they're not. This is going to be a reanimation deck of some form, so let's actually get some beatdown going on. Would definitely Spell Pierce Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Guess I'm going to play one of these on 0. Alright. At least prompted a response from them. I would guess that they probably have Velomachus in their deck, so if they have another Dragon's Fire, they can kill the Evelyn. Which, if they manage to do that, I am not going to have anything going on at all. They discarded another land. I'm trying to figure out, the Snarls work with the Jetmir Gardens, so I guess that's something. I think they're a reanimation deck, but they have yet to put any creatures into the graveyard, which is making me question whether they are in fact a reanimation deck. Spell Pierce up. Even if they just play land Velomachus and attack me, I can Spell Pierce whatever the Velomachus hits, which is obviously not the best thing in the world to be doing, but it's probably better than playing a Corpse Appraiser. Burn down the house. Alright. We getting another are we getting Velomachus now? I'm ready for the Velomachus. Mire's Call. I will Spell Pierce that. Wow, what a draw. I kind of forgot that I put two of those in my main deck. That is going to be a nice card against the opponent's deck.
Now, what do we have here?
Yeah, so there we see the first reanimation spell. Weirdly, they haven't shown any creatures yet. I thought they might have them in their hand, but maybe they've just gone halfway through their deck and haven't seen a single creature. Seems like I probably have lethal. Yeah. I have lethal by a lot. Alright, so this deck, I think I want every counter I can possibly have. Well, not Annul. I would guess they have Fable of the Mirror Breaker in their deck. Certainly want all the grasps. Maybe the Bloodthirsty Adversaries and the Corpse Appraisers aren't that good. I'm going to play one Corpse Appraiser, one Bloodthirsty Adversary, two Voltage Surges. The Voltage Surges are mostly in my deck just because I'm worried about the Goblin off of Fable of the Mirror Breaker, or also the Reflection of Kiki Jiki to an extent, and I don't want to necessarily have to use an Infernal Grasp on it. I do still have the Bloodtithe Harvesters also to kill them. Guess I can go black, red, and go Duress into Bloodtithe Harvester. It's going to mean I probably won't have access to blue mana on turn 3. So if they brick on lands, they won't be able to play the Fable. I'm just going to play the Xander's Lounge this turn. They would definitely Dragon's Fire the Bloodtithe Harvester in that spot, so I don't think there's a need to just let them do that conveniently. Here, I'm assuming they're going to Dragon's Fire my Kaito Shizuki. But I want to spend my mana this turn.
I've got all kinds of connections.
You might think it would have worked out better to take the Dragon's Fire than take the Fable, but I don't think I'm killing them fast enough for that to be a good decision. I think I'm going to save my Infernal Grasp, so I'm just going to try to trade a Harvester for the Goblin and let them get a treasure. Might as well double block here. I definitely want the Goblin to die this turn. And it's not like they're going to have some sort of combat trick in their deck that makes it bad to double block. Hopefully, I guess it's not that important that I draw an untapped land, because there's a good chance that I'm just going to have to Infernal Grasp a Velomachus this turn. But we'll see what happens. I do have the Bloodtithe Harvester that I can untap and just get the Reflection of Kiki Jiki potentially. Justice? That's not justice. Oh, they could make the Reflection of Kiki Jiki gigantic. And then I wouldn't be able to harvest it. I don't think that was good distribution of the counters necessarily. If they'd put one more counter on the Kiki Jiki, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I guess they were hoping to, like, the Velomachus is going to live and they're going to hit into Mire's Call, maybe. That's not justice. I could have done this in response just to see if Spell Pierce is my top card. I'll feel bad if it is. That's a little bit on the scary side. Why are they attacking with the 1/1? Not sure, but I don't want to risk the Evelyn in combat to find out. It could be another Aganjo. Could be they have burned down the house. Okay. Is it worth flashing Evelyn in just to try to make a land drop? I know that they have, or I know that I have, what's it called, the Mire's Call. So I'd be guaranteed to make a land drop, but it would cost me 3 life, and given that I'm at 13 and I'm being hit by a 5/5, that would be like an entire turn that I'd be giving up. I don't think I'm willing to do that. It would have worked. It would have worked. Probably should have cast a Mire's Call rather than putting a land into play like that. It was not my finest work. Well, and something that does something. Get Takenuma back. Bloodtithe Harvester and clone it, but I don't get quite big enough to kill that. So that's not gonna work. Would have worked out a lot better if I'd gotten to the point where I could cast an Mire's Call. So I want to play a black or a red land on the first turn in case I draw Bloodtithe Harvester. Doesn't particularly matter what land I play this turn. I'm going to need to go blank them before they can get to 5 mana to clean out the 2 creatures they discarded. It's not necessarily going to happen next turn. I think the best thing they could cast this turn would be Fable of the Mirror Breaker, but I can just kill the Goblin. They're trading the Goblin. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Seems fine for me. They are going to get to discard again with the Fable. So maybe that was a misstep, not waiting a turn. I wanted to do it this turn because I really want to do it before they get to the point that they reanimate, and I want the option of casting Evelyn on 5 mana. don't have a reanimation spell. Nice. They could have Fateful Absence here. They could also have the Wandering Emperor, so I'm not going to attack with my Evelyn. I hit a Voltage Surge. That's really nice. That'll allow me to clean up the reflection of Kiki Jiki on their turn. Wow, I hit a Velomachus. I think they've drawn 4 copies of Velomachus this game. I guess it's only 3. Do you want to stroke that or grasp it? I think I'm going to stroke it. Now the question is, do I want to attack with Evelyn and just let them Wandering Emperor it potentially when they untap? Doesn't seem worth it for just 2 damage. Let's attack with only the Bloodtithe Harvester. I'm thinking not just about the 2 cards I've got there, but also my deck has a fair amount of vampires. I'll probably trigger Evelyn again in the next 2 or 3 turns. And I really just want to dig to more Disdainful Strokes. And I think I'll be winning pretty easily. We could also just play Velomachus and go for the second go blank. That would be kind of insane if I hit it. They did have the Wandering Emperor. How did I know? How did I know? I'd probably just clean the Wandering Emperor up with this Voltage Surge.
Thanks. I'll be taking that now.
Somehow I tapped on my black mana because I had to. But I had another. I knew I was going to get to play a black land, so that's fine. Next turn I can play the Velomachus and have Infernal Grasp up. Seems like they're considering Angel Fire Ignitioning the Goblin token. I'm attacking with both. I'm hoping I'm going to hit a removal spell for this Goblin, which I did. If I didn't, then probably the Harvester would just trade with the Goblin. I don't really lose anything by doing that as opposed to just, you know, throwing the Harvester at the Goblin. It was just all upside.
I know something you don't.
I'm not going to cast that. I'm just going to sit back on my Make Disappear an Infernal Grasp. Justice? Is that Justice? I don't think so. I'm not that concerned about the Wandering Emperor at this point. Velomachus, you whiffed. I don't really have that many hits for Velomachus. Okay, trigger Evelyn here. What do you got? I've seen better hands than this. But I also hate mulliganing. This is the second opponent in a row who has snarls, including the Necro Blossom Snarl, which that's not one I've seen in a long time. Come on, Fable of the Mirror Breaker off the top of my deck. That maybe wasn't better than Fable and the Mirror Breaker, but it was almost as good. That was a really good draw. It's likely that, given they've played Valky and they're playing green-black, that there's some sort of Jund deck that probably has Asika's Chariot in it, so the Meathook Massacre is probably going to be useful. The only one mana card I have in my deck that could be useful is Spell Pierce. So I'm just going to attack them and then we'll wind up cycling. You've killed my Corpse Appraiser. I accept. That's not the Asika's Chariot I was expecting. I wanted to leave up blue mana just to represent that I might have a counter. Depending on how much attention the opponent is playing. They might think I do. Given that I just manually tapped, it's kind of giving away that I don't. So much can go wrong when you play with Unleash the Inferno. It really is a card that has a lot of issues. I'll hold that, I guess. Alright, you win. I'm gonna grasp the Briarbridge Tracker. I hate it, but I'll do it. Need to draw some business. Dragonkin Berserker, that's an odd one. This counts as some business. So far the opponent has not drawn any chariots or Fables. You have to expect that they're in the deck, though. I'll probably try to clean up this underdog with the Hive of the Eye Tyrant on my turn. They have a clue and a red mana. I do not want this land. It's a cleaner way to clean up underdog. Let's do it. I wonder if I screwed up with my lands that I wound up having only one blue source here. Seems like I'm paying a price. The price is going to be one treasure from my Goblin Shaman. I'm going to continue to just build up more lands and play. I've got 2 Hive of the Eye Tyrants I can sink mana into. That's a pretty good card. I want to leave creatures in their graveyard for future Corpse Appraisers to appraise.
I know something you don't know.
Workshop Warchief is one of the better cards against this Grixis deck. It's pretty hard to interact with in a way that doesn't go badly. They have another Unleash the Inferno here, and they Unleash the Inferno on Kaito. That's kind of bad for me. Goldspan Dragon, that's also kind of bad for me. Things are going bad. That's the theme of what's going on right now. They're not attacking Kaito Shizuki, and they're not attacking with the Workshop Warchief. None of that seems right. Oh, I don't have a treasure. Alright, let's see if we find something better to do now. Look at all these corpses I've appraised. Could have thrown away the Goblin Shaman to get a treasure. I don't know if that was worth it. How many more corpses do they have? None. How many more do I have? Plenty. I will double block. Just hope they don't have the Meathook Massacre. I think they would have played the Meathook Massacre last turn. It would have to be a card that they just drew. But it seems like the card they would have in their deck, so it's certainly a possibility. There we go. The Meathook Massacre for 4. I did not enjoy that. Did enjoy that.
I know something you don't know.
Is my Anje still in my deck? I think it is.
I'm hungry. Let me get a snack. It's gonna be fun watching you fail to stop us.
I knew playing all those lands was eventually going to pay off. Sadly, I don't have any more Evelyns in my deck. I'm even going to play this land too. Against this deck, I think I definitely like Disdainful Strokes. Probably I like Negate as well. Definitely like Evelyn. They had a weird mix of cards. They didn't have... We didn't see a single Chariot or Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Which maybe they got unlucky. They had a lot of 5-drop creatures. I don't know. I'm just going to trim a little bit. So this is a very strong hand. Wait a second. Why am I on the play? They chose to be on the draw. That is really not a good choice. Standard is hugely biased towards favoring the person who gets to be on the play because of cards like Kaito Shizuki. It's kind of cool having a 2/2 first strike. stop me from attacking them. Get a little bit of value off of this Kaito. It is scary that I'm giving them a turn to do what they want, but that's the way Standard works sometimes. Thankfully, that land came into play tapped. That's good news. That thing isn't that scary. The scariest thing now is that I have Negate in my hand and not Disdainful Stroke, because that means that I can't stop a Goldspan Dragon. Alright, that's a good draw. They do have Chariots in their deck. I prefer that not be in play. It's probably trade Harvesters, have the tracker hit the Kaito. But it doesn't kill the Kaito. They'll need a Voltage Surge to finish it off, or something yet. I don't understand ignoring the Kaito. Like, this is just a race I'm opting into. At any point I could stop attacking with my Tenacious Underdog and they would no longer be able to trade 4 for 3.
Now this is a juicy secret.
Or I could just, you know, make ninjas and block. It's just, they're leaving me a bunch of options that they're not really dealing damage to me faster by attacking my life total. Okay. I managed to get Kaito off the board now, at least. I didn't have any counters left in my deck that can even stop that. I think if they kill this Underdog, I am going to grasp the tracker, probably. Let's see what cards are left in it. Let's see what I draw off this. Yeah. Wow, what a draw. blue, so they're dead on board. It's the blue-white deck. I don't know what this deck is going to be all about. It's probably not a Hanada deck, because usually the Hanada decks are blue-red, and they wouldn't have the Cave of the Frost Dragon. Maybe it's like a blue-white Flyers deck. I want to cash in my blood for a new card. I think I do. That means I can't use the Bloodtithe Harvester. Kill the adversary, but I think I'm fine with that. So I want to have access to a red and a blue mana. I'm going to cast this Kaito. What? How did... I guess I never tapped any of my lands. I needed to tap this one for blue to get the auto tapper to do it right, and the auto tapper did not. But it didn't wind up mattering. You make it disappear in their deck. Let's get a little careful. I'm beginning to wish that this Tenacious Underdog would die. I wonder if this is just actually Esper. Well, that's not good for me. It's not that bad. If I could draw an answer to the lunch aspirant. I failed. That turn was a failure.
Remember your training.
Yikes, I got it all. This is starting to get ugly. They are an Esper deck. It's just an Esper deck with like the weirdest draw ever to start the game. Need to draw like Corpse Appraiser next turn maybe so I can clone it. Is that how I start getting something going on?
Would run if I were you.
I'm just dead. I don't know why I thought that was a good way to attack. I was going to lose anyway. So those are the cards I like. I do not like Disdainful Stroke. Spell Pierce is fine. Don't really like the Meathook Massacre. No, a mulligan. Alright. Reasonable 6-card hand. Wow, what a draw. I don't think my opponent's going to be too happy about that one. Another Rafine. I can't really block here because I would just finish it off with the Bloodtithe Harvester. So if they have the Wandering Emperor, things could go a little bit weird, but I'd make disappear for that. Don't like that I'm on the draw. I'd just like to say that. I prefer to play against opponents who choose to be on the draw. And they kept the 7-card hand. I do have an answer to Rafine, which is nice. Okay. I'm not that surprised to see that.
Thanks. I'll be taking that now.
Being behind against the Kaito was kind of annoying. But this is what happens when you're on the draw sometimes. I at least had plays on turn 2 and turn 3. Next turn I will have the option of just going Grasp, haste the Bloodthirsty Adversary to try to kill the Kaito. It's going to depend on what they cast and if they leave mana up. I think if they leave just 4 mana up and it's a Telegraphed Wandering Emperor, I'm not even going to attack with the Underdog. I'll just play Anje and pass. This is looking like a Wandering Emperor. I'll cast this pre-combat to see if they had some amount of counters in their deck too. So okay, they want to counter that. Meaning this is probably going to work as an attack.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice me. Thanks. I'll be taking that now.
Ideally, they decide to just play the Wandering Emperor right now and exile the Tenacious Underdog, because then the Bloodthirsty Adversary is going to do some good work. They have exotic fish in their deck. Weird. Really weird. Again, I'm going to play a spell pre-combat to see the coast is clear from the Wandering Emperor. Do I want to run the Underdog into the Wandering Emperor this turn? I think no.
But we must protect the people.
Okay. There are times when that is like a really annoying play for the opponent to make, but that was not one of them.
Now this is a juicy secret.
Keep watch for intruders.
That's bad for me. That's real bad. That may spell the end of this game. Needed that to be a good turn, not a turn where I got crushed by Obscura Interceptor.
Strike fast and strike hard.
no secret I can't uncover.
Maybe if I find another removal spell I can cast this turn. It's not a removal spell, but maybe it does something. Why did they grasp? Oh, they wanted to keep the Wandering Emperor alive. I see.
I'll find another way.
That makes sense.
We've got the edge in this fight.
So whatever card they kept in hand is worse than a backup Rafine. That's not a good sign.
I know something you don't know.
My life total has gotten perilously low. I probably cannot afford to bring back the underdog another time. Ugh.
I'm not overconfident.
Yep, that'll do it.
I am almost sad to see you go.
Alright, well I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Helps the channel grow. I've been posting a lot of videos and it seems like people are liking them. So the Grixis versus Esper matchup, our experience in testing was that it's just a close matchup. And the changes I made to my deck at the start probably made it a little bit worse against Esper. Also, I just didn't draw it particularly well. And like we saw, Game 3 was just a classic case of the person on the play just having a huge advantage in Standard. So that's how things play out some of the time. I do still think that Grixis deck is a very strong choice. So I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next time.